Design diva Debbie Travis told me yesterday on the show that when the children fly the coop, all the freedom you've dreamed about over the years is now there for the asking. But instead of feeling liberated, you may feel oddly empty. And the house, of course, is way too quiet and way too tidy. Every month, our resident couples and family counselor, sex therapist, Dr. David McKenzie, joins us to ponder issues like empty nest syndrome. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. David McKenzie back to Studio 4 to tell us more.
Good morning.
Good morning. Maybe we should call it empty next syndrome.
Well, that's a very good word, actually. All of life involves change. I love the epitaph on Robert Burns' father's grave in Ayr, Scotland, that famous alliteration, man was made to mourn. And all of life involves change. That's a constant. And with change comes grieving. And of course, the empty nest syndrome is that event in life when the last child leaves home and the parents have to go through a change to let go of one era and embrace another.
And practically every parent I know says at some time during their parenting period, I can't wait until these rotten children leave home. I can't wait till I have freedom. And then you get freedom and you don't want it.
My mother,
or you want it, but you want them back.
I know. My mother, when she was around in her 80s, said that she was once, when she was with my brother and sister back in the 30s, sitting on the train saying, I can't wait for these children to grow up. And this little old lady beside her leaned over and said, my dear, the day will come when you'll give your right arm to have them at this age. She's so right.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, so
and
right.
Irma Bombeck said, you know, raising kids is like flying a kite, learning to fly a kite, because you practice and practice, and it goes up, it goes down, it sticks in the tree, and then finally it flies free, and it's beautiful, and it goes away.
Yeah, but you've got to change your role, and it's, you know, parents will do anything to protect their children, to help their children get ahead, and so it's letting go of that parental role and then seeing them as adults.
Sure, and we know they come back.
Oh, sure they do.
Oh, yes,
well,
they do.
Some come back and stay back.
Yes, they do for a long time. But that said, preventive medicine, so you don't suffer too much from empty nest syndrome. If you're a couple, and we'll talk about singles too, but you're a couple, and maybe you don't even like each other all that much, and you've lived your life through your kids, now the kids are gone, what to do?
Yeah, well, it is a time of challenge in which a couple has to start to rebuild their relationship. I really advise parents to keep your relationship alive. Don't let it just drift and devote all your time to work and the children. You're also a couple. And when parents have it together, the children, it's a much more functional home. It's when parents don't have it together, it becomes dysfunctional.
Do couples you work with know they didn't have it together until they are together? And by that I mean, you think you have the perfect little family and you have a good relationship with your husband or your wife, and then the kids leave and you have nothing in common and you don't want to go away with him.
But that to me would represent a couple who have not really invested the time in their relationship. A relationship is a living, dynamic one in which you're constantly feeding each other, communicating, being connected. A couple that would come in that would say that to me has let their marriage go for years. If you're totally disconnected, can't stand being with each other. But even those couples that have got it together, again, it's a shift in time. They're going back to a place where they were lovers before they even had children. And they have to rediscover each other because they're in a different era in their lives. They're older now.
Aging sex? Without the door closed?
yes. Well, and doing all sorts of things, you know. And
doing all sorts of things. In the kitchen? I don't know about that. But suddenly, you do have the freedom now to pretty well
It's true.
Make love anywhere in the home.
Not all parents feel that way. I love that cheese commercial. If you want your kids to leave home, quit giving them cheese. Yes. I love that. But there are a few parents I've come across that really, truly, when the children leave, they just start traveling and they just love it. Doesn't mean they don't love their kids, but it's a different time. That means they've kept their relationship alive and vibrant and working. But even those who still do that, they'll go through a time of grieving. It's a change.
Do men grieve more than women? Do women grieve more than men, or do you know?
That's interesting. I read a recent study. They did a study of 189 couples and found that on the whole, the men tend to grieve more than the women. I was surprised by that.
Really?
The suggestion was that because men in our culture tend to be out working, investing time in their careers, they haven't spent as much time with their children as their wives have. And so it's lost opportunity, you know. Our daughter, our son, now gone away, we're together, and look at all the lost opportunities.
Sure, and the guilt kicks in. I was never home.
Yeah. Which tells us another preventative thing is spend time with your children. You will not have these years, and when you finally wake up and smell the coffee, those years are gone.
Right. You know what I missed when my girls left? The chaos.
Oh, yes.
Really, and all the friends.
Yeah.
The friends coming by, and you come home at 10 o'clock at night, and there's a party in your living room.
There's
like 22 children smashed, and noise, and action. And there's always an adventure.
Yeah.
Like somebody's had an adventure.
Yeah.
You know, they've lost the car.
That. Sure.
You say, you've lost the car. Really? Do you know what I mean?
It keeps you on the edge. It keeps you growing. There's
exactly. And occasionally I see a glimmer of it now, and my girls are in their 30s, but they still have the odd trauma.
Sure, sure. Well,
and I find them more fun now than then, I think.
Yeah, well, it's the growing pains of adolescence and so on.
And I was a single parent. So what do single parents do? Because you don't have a partner to take to Hawaii.
But again, it's important to keep up your social network. If you have no friends other than your children, you're going to be in a far more depressed state at the end of that than if you have a network and a social support system.
Sure.
So also keeping in touch with your family. A family is a great support network. And I feel for those who have family in St. John's, Newfoundland, and they're out in Vancouver. There's no support.
Exactly.
And so keeping that social network is important.
And the children want to be free, and they want to travel the world, and they don't want a whining mama.
No, absolutely.
Or a whining father saying, well, what about me, and can't we have dinner? And why don't we go to Spokane?
Sure.
And they go, mother.
The difficulty
really?
comes when a parent
Get a life.
when the parent can't let go of their child because they are not willing to face their grief. They're not willing to let go. I've got this painting in my office that says everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And a change involves...
You've got that right.
Yeah. But change involves a death. It's the death of an old era and relationship and the resurrecting of a new one, to use that mythology.
Sure. So to turn the crisis into an opportunity, I think you have to build your life from the beginning and not think that's selfish. And Debbie pointed this out yesterday, and she is not a doctor, not a psychologist, not a pediatrician. She wasn't sure why she wrote the book because she's not an expert, except she's had experience. And, to prevent it, it's so important that you follow your passions, not his passions.
No. Everybody has his or her own special destiny. And so it is important for self-development. I also find, though, around the time of grieving, it's more the social network than your own career is good. It can help get you out of the house. But you need that social contact to support you during that time.
Do you think moms and dads are aware, really aware, when they are living their lives through their children? Do they know this? Are they, until the kids leave? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I see exactly
you
what
don't
you mean.
think you're doing it, but you are, and your friends all know. Because what do you talk about? Your children. And where they are and what they're doing and how successful they are.
That's a very
all
good,
of that.
That's a good point. If you find yourself, all you can talk about are your children, if your whole life is lived through them, I would hope that that would be a wake-up call for you to start to look at your own life, to say, gee, who am I? I am a person that is defined outside of my children and outside of my partner.
Right, and there must be some grief there. Why didn't I get a life? Like I was a wonderful mother. And I know women who are like this. We call them, oh, this is rude. We call them PTA moms.
Oh, dear.
Say, oh, no, she's a PTA mom. Don't go there. That's all she'll talk about. Diapers. She doesn't read the newspaper. She doesn't do this. She doesn't do that. How catty that was. But wonderful mothers, apple pie moms.
Sure. Well, you'll often get younger mothers who are struggling with children and so forth. And when you go to parties and so forth, they hang out together and talk about their children. That's pretty normal. But when you've got someone who's talking all about their children and they're 15 and 17 years of age and that's all they they talk about, it's a sign you haven't gotten the life for yourself.
Yes, and once the kids leave home, there's still couples and parents and single mothers who only talk about what their children are doing.
Yes.
They're still living through the kids, even though the kids have left home.
Yeah, yeah. It's a myopic vision of life in which you've zeroed down on just one aspect of it.
Exactly.
I believe in developing the whole person, and your children will learn about life and be whole people if you model a whole person. So you just can't just focus on one narrow element of your life.
Right, and not to bring Debbie Travis up again, but I will. She pointed that time and again. She was a busy mother, but her boys wrote her the most fantastic letter at the end of this about what a great mom she was. They said, Mom, we did not want a perfect mother.
Yeah.
One day she threw a tantrum on the bed because her cameraman had quit, and she's like sobbing, crying, kicking, and the boys loved it because she was real.
She was human, yeah. In fact, it is strongly suggested that parents do not try to hide their conflict from their children, but that the children need to see parents work out conflict. Conflict is a normal, healthy part of any family life or marriage. And if you avoid conflict, then what are the children learning from that?
And sometimes you have one parent who wants to be forthright, and another one who wants to hide everything.
Yes, well.
Like, don't tell the children.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're a single parent, you don't have a choice because they know.
Secretiveness can be quite destructive to a person and to a family. And it's a sign of, I hate the word, but I'll use it, it's a sign of a very dysfunctional, codependent family where there's this essential lie going on and there's secretiveness about everything. And I'll tell you this, but don't tell anybody else. And a healthy family is one that is open, transparent, that can keep confidentialities, but is not forming alliances against others in the home.
And there's probably nothing wrong when the kids leave home, if you want to have singular lives and a life together, to go there. I'm thinking of Paul Newman, late Paul Newman, Joanne Woodward life. He goes to the racetrack, she goes to the ballet. They have a life together. Some, and many older couples, as you know, live a bit like roommates. Not you.
But again, no. But again, it is renegotiating the contract of your marriage. And so the contract is constantly changing and evolving. Some will put words to it, but others it's a non-verbal contract. And the marriage that my wife and I have now is different from the marriage we had 2 years ago and from 20 years ago.
I talked to a woman the other day who said he won't travel. He hates to travel. He traveled too much, so I travel. Okay.
Well, same
and
with
he
me.
allows it, she said. I said, oh no, that's not part of the equation. We'll have to talk. You have to talk to Dr. McKenzie.
Well, my wife will go to garden shows and I refuse to go to them.
But so, that's freedom.
That's freedom.
Isn't it?
That's
you say, I never have to go to another garden show again. Yay. Oh, nice to see you.
Oh, good to see you.
Dr. David McKenzie, couples counselor and sex therapist. Tomorrow, don't go to the cosmetics counter without her. Cosmetics cop Paula Begon brings in the latest fibs, lies, and research on how to keep your skin beautiful at every age. And art and antique consultant Peter Blundell tells you what that plate with the Brooklyn Bridge on it is really worth. And no time to be shy. Dr. Kevin Glasgow, who heads up the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, says we need to get over being embarrassed about the diseases which affect 3 times as many people in Canada as multiple sclerosis or HIV/AIDS. Thanks for watching Studio 4. There will be lots more on Shaw TV, only on Shaw TV.